Hello, everybody. Welcome to a post-practice report. I am Brian Nimhauser. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the places at Hawk Blogger. And I had to fit this in. I know I've got the Seahawks Collective starting on another channel with Mike Dugar and Annabelle Hasselback and Rob Staten in about 27 minutes. So I'm going to try to race through what I think was a pretty impressive practice for the Seahawks defense. And yes, Jayden Milroe had a play or two that I want to mention. Make sure if you haven't already, like, subscribe. We don't even have 10,000 followers on Instagram yet. If you're on Instagram and you haven't followed us, what's stopping you? Take 2 seconds, follow us on Instagram. You won't be sorry. And look, I'm going to get right to it, folks, because we don't have a lot of time to waste. Usually in these, this time of camp, you've kind of seen it all. You see the same players doing the same things, and you see the same battles kind of emerging. And this practice, honestly, was kind of rolling along relatively, predictably, I would say. And then they got to the 1v1 periods. And today it was their 2v2s. And what I mean, if you don't know, usually it's 1v1. You've got one defensive lineman or edge player going against one offensive lineman, right? Sometimes they will do 2v2. So they'll work on games and stunts and twists. And that's both for the defense to get used to their chemistry and coordination of how to get the timing of those things right, as well as for the offensive linemen to work on picking up those games and twists and stunts. Well, it was a 2v2 day today. And it started out relatively normal. Like, you had Byron Murphy and Derek Hall going against Abe Lucas and Anthony Bradford, the right tackle, the right guard, right? And first rep, relatively like stalemated. Offense won. Then second rep, same thing. Those guys won. And so like the offense was kind of doing what I've seen them do in a lot of these cases. Well, then came Brandon Peely and Quinton Bohanna, who are this pairing of what their bodies say are nose tackles, but they've been playing next to each other a lot in camp and even during the preseason game. And again, they were going, and when they have the two like interior linemen like that, what they'll do is they'll have them go against, starting with the center and the right guard, and then they'll have them go against the center and the left guard. So the first rep was Brandon Peely, Quinton Bohanna going against Jalen Sundell, who was playing center. Olu Olutimi still out, getting treatment on his back, and Anthony Bradford. And that first rep, I thought it looked like to me that the defense won. And it wasn't like a clear dominating win, but it was a win. Then those same two guys, Peely and Bohanna, go up against Jalen Sundell and Gray Zabel. So again, they switch over to the left side. They beat them pretty well, and they beat Gray Zabel pretty well. And Gray Zabel doesn't lose a lot of these reps, and they got him. Then you had Mike Morris and Boye Mafe going against the left side of the line, and that was Josh Jones and Gray Zabel. This time, Mike Morris, who's playing on the inside, pins Josh Jones, the left tackle. Mafe loops around, and he absolutely blows by Gray Zabel on the inside. And you might be saying, uh-oh, maybe Gray Zabel is not as good as we hoped for. I don't think that's what the situation is. I've seen a lot of Gray Zabel reps. I've seen Gray Zabel go up 1v1 against Leonard Williams and Jaron Reed and Byron Murphy. And I think I know have a pretty good feel for what Gray Zabel is. Today, he was getting worked. Like, this was the defense. Like, they absolutely went up a notch. Now, the next rep, the same two guys went, and this time Josh Jones and Zabel won that rep. Cool. All right. But then this is where things got even more interesting. Jared Ivey has quietly had a really good camp. He has not made a lot of splash plays. The type of player that Jared Ivey is, he's a big end. He's 270, 275 pounds. He plays strong and stout. And so a lot of the plays he's going to make are setting an edge, pushing a offensive lineman into the backfield, making a tackle for no gain. These aren't like super flashy. Part of the reason he went undrafted out of Ole Miss is because he's not a twitchy athlete. He is not a big pass rush guy. But that's why this was really interesting. He goes, and the first play was against Christian Haynes. And I know, caveat or asterisk, because Christian Haynes has lost a lot of reps. But the thing that was notable is Jared Ivey just was so quick off the ball, and he did a swim move that was like instant, and he was by Haynes. Like, if you weren't watching, it happened in a flash. And then the next rep, so this was Jared Ivey, and I cannot remember who was the person next to him because it doesn't matter. It was a Jared Ivey moment. But they were going against Christian Haynes and Mike Jarrell on the left side, meaning the left side of the offensive line. So after swimming by with speed and technique, the next play was Jared Ivey just walking Christian Haynes back so quickly that he just got knocked right into the coach who is playing quarterback. I mean, it was speed and then it was power. And I left that like moment. I was like, they were both kind of like, whoa moments. And I look at Jared Ivey and I see a guy that seems like he's gaining confidence. He is more and more, I think he's approaching these reps as if he belongs here, not wondering if he's going to make the team. And I don't know where things are going to fall with the 53. I'll do my updated 53-man roster after the next game on Friday. But last roster I had included Jared Ivey making this team. There's nothing I've seen that changes that. And I think he might give the team a hard time. If they let him go, I don't know that he makes it through waivers. And one of the things that, I asked Adam Dirty, the defensive coordinator, after practice about Jared Ivey, and he wisely kind of broadened it out because the coaches do not want to hype up these guys that are especially toward the bubble of the roster. Because if they, for whatever reason, special teams or something else, numbers wise, have to push someone off, they want to sneak those guys through waivers and sign them to their practice squads. So you will generally not get Mike McDonald or Adam Dirty or others talking about these undrafted free agents and these guys that are toward the end of the roster. So I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I think Jared Ivey has demonstrated to me he's an NFL player, and he's a guy that's already got the strength. I've compared him to kind of Roy Robertson Harris. I don't think he's going to be a guy that gives you a ton of sacks or pressures. I think he's a little bit more of a pass rusher than RRH was, but he's a similarly just strong, like country strong dude. And I think that you generally can't have enough of those guys. So Jared Ivey, for me, was the player of practice. Like those two plays, there's other plays, but that really jumped out. They weren't done. The defense wasn't done. Then Bubba Thomas and J.R. Singleton, who are, I think, Justin Hines' like favorite pet projects as defensive tackles. They play behind Bohanna and Brandon Peely. And they were going up against Federico Merenges at center and Christian Haynes. And they won that rep pretty convincingly. Then I lied a little bit about Jared Ivey being the most impressive. I think he was still the most impressive, but I think maybe the most impressive showing in this 1v1, 2v2 drill, Anthony Campbell, number 93, who I haven't talked about that much. He's number 93. He is 6'7". He looks the part. And he was a late signing for the team. And he went up against Bryce Cabledew, number 77. And he just flat knocked him on his butt. Like, just, I mean, he canned him. Like, there's no other way to say it. He absolutely dominated him. Next play, it was him and Connor O'Toole, who, by the way, also is looking like he's finally not hurt and playing, I think, pretty good ball. Again, Anthony Campbell just blows by the offensive lineman. I think this was Cable do again. And it was one of the more impressive things I've seen in the 1v1 so far. So there's a couple more I want to get to there, but that was Anthony Campbell. Yes. So we got through him. Other notes. So then after Campbell had just like finished getting back to the defensive huddle, like in this, like the defensive lines on one side, the offensive lines on the other side, and everyone's just hyping up Anthony Campbell. Then Jalen Gaines, instant win against Mason Richmond at right guard. And then Jared Ivey comes back, instant win against Satawa Lamea. Next play, Jared Ivey drives him back into the quarterback's lap. It basically was just this huge run of the defensive players dominating this drill in a way they really haven't up until today. They've had their moments, but it's generally been a back and forth. It kept going all the way until it got back around to where it started with Abe Lucas and Anthony Bradford. And when it got back to them, it was like Byron Murphy and like, it was good players, but Abe Lucas and Anthony Bradford shut that down. Like, that was the end of the streak. But it was, Adam Dirty said after practice, this was the best he thought the defensive line had played. He thought it was like a lot of the young guys really stepped up. Jalen Gaines, Jared Ivey, Anthony Campbell, J.R. Singleton, Bubba Thomas, all those guys. I thought Quentin Bohanna, Brandon Peely, they all came to play, and it looked like they were super motivated. I don't know if it was like a day or two off from pads or what it was. It was a hot day out there, and they really, really got after it. So that was the story of it for me. And I see someone saying, yeah, I don't feel great about this because our offensive line's not our strength. Well, if you watch the first game and you've listened to me, I don't agree. I think the offensive line, by the end of the season, I think people will talk about the offensive line being the strongest part of the offense. And I think that's going to be a good thing. I also would say the same guys have been doing these drills since OTAs, well, really since training camp. And the offensive line generally has been the better of the two sides. They have, I would say, of my charting, the offensive line has won the lion's share of these reps. So this was a change. This was different. And I think given the fact that you want to see, the defensive line eat and the defensive line depth be good, I think this was legitimately good news and good to see. Other guys getting away from that specific drill, Devin Witherspoon had, I thought, a great day. He had a Devin Witherspoon day where he was making as many plays in coverage as he was against the run. And I just saw him, he got a tackle for loss on one play. I saw him, I'm looking through my notes here. I know folks would like me to have this all beforehand, but I just raced home and I had to get this done. He had a nice pass breakup from Cooper Kupp, who was in the end zone later in a red zone drill. I just thought Devin Witherspoon had a really nice day, which also made it cool to see. I was watching earlier on, they were kind of doing, a kind of 7v7 drill. It wasn't 7v7, but in any event, Torrey Horton was going up against Devin Witherspoon, and you could see him. Well, let me give you the sequence. So Cooper Kupp goes deep versus Devin Witherspoon, and I think got by him, which was the first time I've seen Kupp kind of get behind the defense. Doesn't mean he hasn't done it other times, but it was the first time I saw it. But he couldn't quite come down with it. It was good coverage by Witherspoon, but Kupp won that route deep. Then to the next side, they throw it deep to Tyrone Broden. Nehemiah Pritchett almost picks it off. So then Torrey Horton lines up and he runs a great route where he drives Devin Witherspoon back, looking like it's going to be another deep throw. Then just sits down, puts on the brakes, and turns back to the ball, driving toward it. And absolutely won the rep. And Devin Witherspoon, I could hear him talking to Horton like, woo, like he was impressed by what Torrey Horton had just done on that play. And Witherspoon is as twitched up as anybody in terms of being able to change directions. And Horton was his better, at least on that specific play. Torrey Horton had another nice day, had a number of catches. Generally speaking, this was a day that the defense won many more than the offense, but there were some pretty nice plays. Kenneth Walker practiced full pads, full contact, all that stuff. And he had he probably had a house call on a screen pass, had another couple big runs. And you can just see when the holes are there for him, it's just going to be different when he is available. And obviously you hope that he is. Clint Kubiak after practice was honest about the fact that like, hey, when he's out there, he's great, but like to see him out there. Like, didn't quite say that, but that was the implication. Jayden Milroe. I know everyone wants to hear about Jayden Milroe, and he had the best throws of practice today by my evaluation. Now he's going against the third string defense, and that's the same defense that let the Raiders come back from a 16-3 deficit last week. So take that for what it's worth, but he's still making big boy throws. He had a completion to Elijah Arroyo over the middle that was nice. He had a great pass to Tyrone Broden for another 15 yards. This was the throw. This was the throw of the day for me. So he play actions and then reverse rolls. So he turns to his right, but then peels back and starts running to his left. All right. So he's running to his left. He's a right-handed quarterback running to his left. And while in a full sprint to the left, throws it perfectly to, I want to say it was Broden. It was either Broden or Horton. I can't remember. I don't have it in my notes, but perfectly on target before the receiver was running out of bounds. And that's not an easy throw. To be running that direction and throwing it off your back hand and to be able to be accurate with that throw, that is a huge jump from a guy that's really had questions about accuracy and mechanics coming in. So that was like definitely the most impressive throw I'd seen today. And then let's see. Final toward the end, they had a nice play where he hits Brady Russell on an out route in traffic. Well timed up. He wasn't perfect. He had to throw the ball away a couple times. There was another great throw later in practice. He hit Cody White. And one of the things I'm looking for is the type of throw and the type of situation. This one, a little bit later in the progression, he let it develop and he threw a layered throw, getting it over a layer of the defense in front of another layer of the defense to Cody White for what would have been 25, 30 yards. It might have gone the whole distance if they were playing it the whole way. So yeah, I'm looking to see. he had another couple completions, one to Broden, one to Ricky White. So, I mean, Jayden Milroe continues to play well, and I think he's doing nothing to slow down expectations. As far as like the last couple things I can probably get in there. JSN, Sam Darnold had a fine day. There was a couple knockdown passes. Quentin Bohanna knocked down a pass. Brandon Peely knocked down a pass. AJ Barner had a few catches. Trying to look here to see if there's anything else that Derek Young. So Shaquille Griffin was out there today for the first time that I've seen him. It was good to see that. Derek Young beat him on a slant pass from Drew Lock. That was nice. Drew Lock made a nice back shoulder throw to MVS. That should have been a touchdown. MVS couldn't quite make the play. Next play, Drew Lock scrambles and threw a touchdown for Cody White in the back of the end zone. It was a nice play by Drew Lock. Great catch by Cody White. Josh Jobe broke up a pass intended for Cooper Kupp. He had a decent day. Looking through my notes here. Byron Murphy had some good pressure on a couple of plays. Yeah. So, there was also blitz drills. And one of the things that Kenneth Walker is in question about is how he does in blitz pickup. And he had a really nice rep against Patrick O'Connell. And Patrick O'Connell's actually been one of the better linebackers in that drill. So that was good to see. The only other thing I'll mention, they had something happen at the very beginning where they had a cartwheel contest with like Mason Richmond and Bryce Cabledew and the PA announcer guy, the MC. And Cabledew did a pretty good cartwheel, and then he did a worm on the ground. And I was like, I don't know why this is happening, but I kind of love it. I wish I had been closer so I could have gotten video, but I was on the complete opposite side of the field. I was able to see the performance, and it was pretty funny. So that is the major stuff there. Let me get through super chats before I run over to the Seahawks Collective. J-Dub says, member for 12 months. Hi, Brian. I love your stuff. Love having you, dude. I also, before I forget, there's a couple other super chats, but I've been trying to make sure that we get as many Seahawks fans in seats as possible. We've done stuff to help in that regard. I've got something new to share with you, and let me share this with you now. It's in the description of the video. It's in the chat, but let me tell you a little bit more about this new deal. Seahawks football is back. I cannot wait to see Lumen Field packed with Seahawks fans again, which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and a bunch more. The NFL's just around the corner. The Mariners are chasing a World Series ring. One of the things I love about using SeatGeek is they've got your back. Each ticket's rated on a scale from 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Green dot's good, red not as good, but you know what? Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. Personally, I'm going to be using SeatGeek to buy some Mariners tickets for the stretch run. I may be tempted to get one of the Adam Sandler tickets. Who knows? They've got all sorts of things. If there's a ticket, SeatGeek's going to have it on there. And you know I came through for you guys. You can use code HawkBlogger, get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code HawkBlogger. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. Awesome deal. So, folks, I want to get you to go to every event you possibly want. And this is a deal from SeatGeek that I want to make sure I could bring to you guys. So take advantage, use code HawkBlogger, get $20 off your first SeatGeek order. You will be happy that you did. Let's get to some more super chats. So Smokehock says, defense has been playing better or offense playing worse? I thought today it was the defense playing better, to be totally honest. I really liked what I saw from the defense. The offense has taken a step forward, and you saw what they did to the Raiders in that preseason game. So I'm starting to wonder if part of the reason the defense or the offense has looked a little slower so far was not just because it's new, but because the defense is really good. So I'm eager to see what the first string guys look like on Friday, assuming that we get to see that against the Chiefs. Let's see. Gabriel Johnson says more regular season receptions, Bobo or Horton. I think Horton for sure. Like, I think Torrey Horton to me is going to be a central part of this offense, the way things are developing. It wouldn't surprise me if by the end of all of this that Torrey Horton is a guy getting more targets than anyone but JSN. Like, I think he's going to become a comfort zone for these quarterbacks. And obviously, you know, he's getting run with the first string guy. So we will see great stuff from him already. Hopefully we continue to see that. We saw some more run after catch, making people miss, giving some oohs and ahs today. So Torrey Horton continues to be the guy. All right, everybody. I'm going to head over to the Seahawks Collective. Hopefully I see you over there. Until next time, I'm Brian Nemhauser. This has been another post-practice report.